Today, we dive into one of my favorite topics, true crime, with the pretty Instagram girl who used ChatGPT to kill.
Wade Wilson is a Florida man who murdered two women in a single day in 2019. He met Christine Melton at a bar, went home with her, and then strangled her in her sleep the next morning. Then he stole
Oh,
her
wow.
car, drove it across town, spotted a woman named Diane Bruce walk into work, and offered her a ride, and then killed her too. He was arrested the next day after calling his father
Oh
to
my god, his
confess. His
tattoos.
father had called the police. By the time his trial came around in 2024, Wilson had accumulated nearly 4,000
Why?
messages from supporters.
Supporters? This is so dumb. Why are we sending fan mail to murderers?
Most of them women. Love letters, explicit photos, and one
Yeah.
woman spent her own money buying him suits and dress shirts so he would look presentable in court. Another said she could not wait to have his children. A
What?
fundraising page even raised around
Yeah, women are crazy. But I think the men are doing the same thing, judging by the title of this video.
$100,000, which he spent on pizza and chocolate bars in his jail, by the way. His fan group called themselves Wade's Wives. And the reason to all of that, according to women themselves, was partly that he was charming on the phone, and partly that he was, by conventional standards, attractive. Well, face tattoo including
Well,
swastikas aside, but still.
yeah, the
This
face
is a
tattoos are kind
documented
of
phenomenon. It even has a name,
ruining the look.
hybrostophilia. Attraction to
Oh, wait, is it?
violent criminals.
Huh.
Ted Bundy had it, the Night Stalker had it, and every few years someone goes on trial for something genuinely horrific, and a portion of the internet decides that the
What?
killer is actually the most interesting part of the story. Now, what if the killer was a woman? In January 2026, two men were
Hmm.
found dead in budget motels in the Gangbuk district of Seoul.
I have seen the one case where, like, in Japan, a girlfriend killed her boyfriend out of jealousy. I think that's the only case that I've seen where, like, she was very attractive and people were, like, basically doing the same thing as the women were for the other guy.
About 2 weeks apart. Both in their 20s, both found alone in the morning after checking in with the same woman. Korean police had a suspect within days, a 21-year-old named Kim. No prior convictions on record. But when investigators pulled her phone, they found her chat GPT history. She had asked the
What?
AI whether people could die from mixing sleeping pills with alcohol. The AI warned her that yes, it absolutely
Oh, thank
could,
you,
and it
ChatGPT.
even
Thank you
could be
for taking me.
fatal.
Thank you for telling me how to do this. ChatGPT can make mistakes. Check important info.
She used
Okay.
that warning to increase the dosage for her next attempt. And this is what got her charged with murder. But when her photo leaked online, her Instagram went from 200 followers to over 10,000 followers in 10 days.
Jesus,
All
guys,
because
come
she was
on.
pretty. We
She
just
don't want you,
established that
bro.
if a woman is pretty enough to drug a man's drink, men will still beg to be her next victim. Today's sponsors successfully weaponized that exact psychological
Oh,
weakness.
W
I do
sponsor.
it too, but unfortunately my own plans for world
Make sure you
domination
watch full video down below. Watch her original video, like her original video. Support her sponsor. Okay.
stalled by an astronomical repair bill from a localized rice fire. So today's much needed sponsor, Stella Sora. Stella Sora is a top-down
Gotcha
action
game.
RPG populated entirely by gorgeous anime girls called trekkers. The core appeal is aggressively simping for them, or manipulating their fates through a lighthearted branching storyline. Frankly, I'd let them ruin my life. You conquer mysterious monoliths through roguelite ascensions, playing as a tyrant or
Wait,
boss,
roguelite?
a highly accurate simulation of my daily
Okay, I might have to
leadership
play this
style.
game.
The UI is smoother than my brain. Play casually for 3 minutes while waiting for pizza, or min-max your waifu team composition in challenges mode until your eyes bleed. Patch 1.9 just added a roguelike card game, Fatebound Stellar Deck S2, and Silver Veil Dreamcatcher.
No, don't say
It also
roguelike
adds
card
a
game. You're gonna
Toha,
make
a
me play the
premium
game.
Fox Girl waifu material, just like me, or she would be, if Chad hadn't gaslit me into believing I'm a horse. This patch also includes new
What?
outfits for Chitose and Ridge that you can respectfully thirst over, and exclusive music tracks for every weapon. The event runs until May 7. Log in and complete missions for 20 free limited pulls, regular pulls, and 2 maxed out disc, and even more. Secure a Toha, add her to your harem, and ruin your sleep schedule. Click the tracking links in the description and use my exclusive redemption code for special rewards. Now back to the true crime. When the internet found her Instagram after the murders, one of the first things people noticed and wrote about was that her feed had about 12 photos on it. And not a single one of them showed her with another person. Every photo was a
Oh my
selfie, and
god,
she was
bro.
also alone in all of them. One commenter wrote that she seemed like a completely normal woman her age. Pretty, well put together, she clearly had interest and wanted to date, but that out of all those photos, not one was taken with someone else. Their conclusion was that
That
she
she's
must have been
single?
isolated for a long time, and that if she even had one or two friends she could talk to, she probably would not have become whatever this was. Whether or not you
Maybe.
agree with that read, and a lot of people did not, the observation itself stays with you. An entire Instagram feed
Because a lot
always
of
alone.
people just post. I've seen a lot of girls just post pictures by themselves. They don't really show off anybody. Maybe in like their story.
Another
I don't know.
peculiar thing is that the account used hashtags like hashtag follow for follow, hashtag welcome DM, hashtag follow back. The kind of tags you use when you want strangers to find you. This tag signifies that you're willing to follow somebody if they're willing to follow you back. So she would follow people she didn't know, slide into their DMs, and build rapport very quickly. She
Really?
apparently met men this way,
Interesting.
either online or IRL, at bars or at karaoke, and it could also be casual acquaintances, someone she had hung out with once or twice, but then she would
Interesting.
suggest a motel hangout and offered to bring drinks. And she always brought two drinks, one clean and one laced with benzene. She had been
Oh
prescribed
my
for her
god.
anxiety and depression. She always left carrying the empty drug bottle. She was also, and this info came out later, a high school dropout. She had been caught shoplifting wireless earbuds among other small things and had been kicked out of school over it. The only thing we know about her are those facts: petty theft, psychiatric medication, no close friends, and an Instagram account built entirely around accumulating and luring in strangers. This is who she was before any of this happened. The first time she did this, the man survived. On December 14th,
Did he
2025,
report it
her
or did he
boyfriend
just...
at the time, they had been together about a month, met through a part-time job, drove out to a bakery cafe parking lot in Namyangju to meet her after an argument. She apologized for making him drive so far and then handed him a drink she had prepared in advance. He lost consciousness inside the cafe about 20 minutes later and was in a coma for 2 days before he recovered. When he woke up and asked what she had put in it, she would not answer him. He then ended the relationship and filed an assault complaint with police in
Okay,
late
good for him.
January. So by the time the murders later happened, Kim was already under police investigation. She was already the subject of an active complaint and she knew it. And yet,
She
she
did it
kept on
again.
going. January 28th,
Hmm.
2026, around
Wait, 26? This
9:24
is
p.m.
earlier this
Kim
year.
checked into
Jeez.
a motel in Suyudang, Gangbuk with a man in his late 20s she had met about a week earlier. She gave him a drink. She left alone 2 hours later and texted him on her way out. "I'm too drunk, just sleeping. I'll head out first." Police would later conclude she sent that text specifically to establish an alibi. The motel owner found the body the next day around 2 p.m. The man had not checked out past checkout time and it alerted the owner. The body, by that point, was already stiff. Police came, reviewed the evidence, and decided it was not sufficient for an emergency arrest. And they let her.
You're telling me someone who was already reported for doing the same thing. Well, I guess she was reported for assault. Maybe the guy didn't specify like getting drugged or anything. But you're telling me after all of that, and now a body has ended up in a hotel room where she stayed the night prior, that they don't immediately arrest her?
Go.
Interesting.
But the police suspected Kim strongly enough that on February 2nd, they called her in for questioning about the January
Okay,
death. She
they
asked to
called her in.
reschedule.
Okay.
Personal
What?
reasons, she said. Unfortunately, they agreed and pushed the meeting to February 9th. That one rescheduled interview would
Oh my
end
god,
up mattering enormously and
did she
even
do another
worse,
thing?
have fatal
Oh
consequences.
my god.
On the night of February 8th, one day before she was supposed to walk into the police station, Kim texted a man in his mid-20s, an office worker, and suggested they get a motel room and have food delivered there. Something chill, something cozy so they could relax. In South Korea, love motels are completely unremarkable. They have hourly accommodation used casually by couples or
Hmm.
anyone who wants somewhere to go after a night out. There's usually no question asked, and it's totally ordinary and quite frequently used. The suggestion would not have
Just like
struck
Japan.
him as anything unusual. She brought 2 drinks to the room, and she later left with the empty drug bottle. The taxi driver who picked her up afterward remembered her because she kept telling him to go faster and faster, like something was chasing her. He said she seemed unusually in a hurry.
Wait, it was the
He
same
ended up
guy? Same
dropping her
taxi
off
driver?
at a
What?
convenience store near her house, as per her request. So, nowhere urgent. She then texted the man she had just left at the motel room. I ordered a chicken and was watching a movie when you suddenly fell asleep. I told you not to sleep. You must have been tired. And then she went home and posted a selfie, lying down the way she usually shots them, with the hashtags, hashtag welcome followers, hashtag follow back mutually follow,
What?
hashtag
This girl
follow
is
back DM.
crazy.
And then she decided to keep scrolling on her phone and interact with more strangers, looking for her next victim. The body of the man she had been at the motel was found the next evening, on February 10th, just before 6 p.m. by a motel employee. Police then decided to move swiftly and arrest Kim on the streets of Gangbuk that night. She was still on her phone, actively contacting more men. If the police had waited any longer, there would have been more deaths. Her last Instagram post had gone up 30 minutes before the arrest. And with cases like
What?
this, the number you know at the arrest is almost never the final number.
서울 원래 서울 놀러 와라. 근데 원래 갈라 했었어요. 제가 세 번째가 될 수도 진짜 있었는데 하여튼 딱 마침 또 수련회가 있어가지고 주변에서도 너 죽을 뻔해.
당시에 뜨거운 적이 있었어요. 술을 조금 먹었는데 이제 갑자기 눈앞 파지면서 바닥에
Was that her boyfriend?
쪽에 대해서 유난히 꺼린다거나 그런 게 있었을까요?
아니면 그런 것도 따로
The incident with the boyfriend in December was one. And around mid to late January, there was a man, let's call him Mr. E, who had first met Kim at a bar on January 10th and hung out with her again on February 1st, drinking together until dawn. A pretty fun and normal night by all means, except on the way home, she had asked to stop at a convenience store. Those are usually open all night. And she bought over 35,000 won worth of hangover cure drinks and had asked him to pay because she didn't have any money on her. He thought the amount was
What?
strange, but paid it anyway.
35,000 won? How much is that in USD?
Consciousness for a few hours. She even kept on texting him throughout early February. But once she got arrested and the man saw the massive news coverage surrounding the situation, he recognized what had happened to him almost immediately. He gave a media interview and contacted the police and said he had been frightened when he put it all together, and that at some point she had asked him about his school, his age, and even his height. She was
What?
basically building a list of potential victims this entire time. With Mr. E, that already brings the count to 2.
집이야 집집집 홈집 배터리 1% 남았을 때 배터리 아니 핸폰이 끊겨서 지금 집 도착했어.
And then there was another incident that got revealed. One from October 25th, 2025, even before
God,
the
all the way
incident with
back
her
in
previous
October.
boyfriend. A man who collapsed at a restaurant in Seochugu while drinking white wine. The emergency call had been placed from Kim's phone number, and that's how the police linked back this victim to her. So that brought the victim count to 3. Police then started cross-referencing her Kakao Talks messages, her DMs, her Instagram followers list to find more. It is now alleged that there's potentially 5 to 10 more contacts under scrutiny. One criminal psychologist noted that she had bought 35,000 won worth of hangover cures at a convenience store in early February, enough for multiple people, and said there were likely more victims between the confirmed incidents that
Yeah,
we
there
had
has-
found. Possibly
Looks
even
like she's been
after
doing
the
that for a
second
long
murder,
time.
who simply had not come forward yet. Kim was only 21 years old, and she had been doing this since at
21?
least October. That is an insane amount of victims for someone so young.
What the fuck?
After the second murder, police decided not to release Kim's identity publicly. To understand why this became its own controversy, you need to know how South Korea's identity disclosure system works. Under the Act on the Disclosure of Personal Information of Specific Serious Crime Suspects, police can only release a suspect's name, age, and photo under specific conditions. The crime has to be considered sufficiently brutal. There has to be enough evidence, and disclosure has to serve a clear public interest, such as preventing further offenses. It goes through a formal review committee,
Interesting.
and police decided that Kim's case did not meet the threshold. Specifically,
Really?
that the method used was not brutal enough by their criteria.
Yes, drugging someone until death is not brutal enough. Or luring men using your Instagram account to drug them and murder them is definitely not brutal enough, I guess.
The same system, applied just months earlier, had disclosed the identity of a man charged with attempting to stab
Oh,
one
really?
woman a single time. He tried to kill one person.
Okay.
Kim had
Okay.
killed two with premeditation and was suspected
Huh.
of more, yet her identity was protected.
Interesting.
His was not. The internet pointed out the hypocrisy of this method. So when that decision came out on February 21st, by February 23rd, 2 days later,
I mean, yeah, people probably
the
just doxed her.
internet had already found
Yeah.
her and leaked her photo. Except it would not have the consequences they had expected. Someone posted to a Korean online community with her full name, age, photo, and high school. The post hit
Her high school?
160,000 views by Monday afternoon. Her Instagram climbed from around 200 followers to over 10,000 followers.
Why are
within
they even
days.
okay? I don't get it.
Multiple
Why are they following her? It's not like she's gonna see it. She's gonna be in jail. They're like, one day she'll see my follow. Okay,
More
whatever.
than 1,800 comments landed on her post. A mix of harassment, doxing, and something else along
Yeah.
those lines. Honestly, she's really pretty, lol. If it were me, I'd have drunk the drink straight away too. Honestly, I don't even know what she did so wrong. She's this pretty? The court should take her looks into account and declare her not guilty.
These
No matter
people are
what
stupid.
anyone says, I'm on your side. Stay strong. She's young and has a bright future ahead of her. It seems like she made a mistake. I'm asking for
A mistake of
leniency.
killing
And on
2 people,
Twitter,
my bad.
After the news spread, you could find more of the same comments. What's your body count? I'm quite innocent. I have only 2. The third one got away. She's a Millennium Fox spirit descended to bewitch mortals. Only experienced Taoists like me can seal her away.
What
I
the
can fix
fuck?
her. Prison is too cruel of a punishment for such an innocent flower.
What
I
email
wanted
does
to
the South
joke and
Korean
say I can
justice
fix her,
have?
but
Nah,
honestly,
she's
there's
pretty
a
enough.
level of
I
crazy
can
that
fix
is
her.
beyond I'm the
fixing.
last one she needs. Trust. So remember Wade Wilson's fans I mentioned earlier?
No,
This
these
is
people.
basically that same phenomenon, running the same script, except the killer is a young woman and the people flooding her comments are men this time. Or women that are in toxic fury. But what's messed up is that the victim's
Yeah,
family
fair.
were watching all of it in real time, horrified at all the simping happening towards the person who murdered their son. The second victim's family, however, was not going to sit idly by. They decided to file a formal petition demanding Kim's identity to be officially released by the authorities. Over 50,000 people signed similar petitions on Korean sites. Whether it was from genuine curiosity as to what she looked like or to hold her accountable, the reasons are unsure, but what we do know is that there was genuine interest into releasing her identity. Due to pressure, the Seoul Northern District Prosecutor's Office announced on February 27th that it would convene a committee to review the decision. As of the time
Oh,
of
just to
recording
review
this
it?
video, no decision has been made yet. So she got charged for a crime,
What?
got rewarded with 10,000 new followers, but the account has since gone private, probably because of the ongoing investigation.
Yeah.
But while the comments were filling up with men saying they could fix her, a different part of the internet was doing something else with the same material. They decided to meme about
Huh?
it.
Oh.
If those men didn't go out too late, this wouldn't have happened. Why were they drinking with strangers? Are we sure they didn't want it? Maybe. If they were paying more attention instead of flirting, they would have noticed the pill. Okay, but why did they put themselves in a situation where they were alone with a woman? Also,
If you want to ruin your day, just go on Twitter. Like just open up any thread and just read comments. Your day will be ruined because I can't stand some of the people on Twitter.
So,
Like
I heard she's very
this
nice, so she
place is
probably
a
didn't do it. This is a
cesspool.
witch trial. I met her at a networking happy hour once, and she didn't seem like a serial killer. Men are
She
always
didn't
trying to
seem
ruin
like
women's
a what?
potentials. Women
Okay,
in
that's rage bait.
male-dominated fields, we like it. I don't believe them. Men have a habit of faking coma and death for attention. We can't let this young woman's life be ruined by a simple mistake. We need the full history, because if she did something like that, a man should have done something horrible to lead her to this. She's
The
so pretty.
rage bait used to be believable, man. It still
And
works though.
she's got a promising future. You wouldn't want to put that in jeopardy, would you? Has anyone checked on her mental health to see why they made her do this? We must listen to both sides of the story. They must have worn something to provoke her to do this. Why destroy a young woman's life for one mistake? A young woman taking it upon herself to cure misogyny in South Korea by going straight to the source? There used to be a name for people like that, but nowadays everyone's too emotional to say it. And there was many more comments along those lines. When women are killed or getting essayed, there's always this portion of the internet population that will victim blame or scrutinize them infinitely, asking things such as what were they wearing, whether they should have been out that late, or whether they led him on. Women just lie to ruin a man's good reputation. We've heard those lines a lot. So those comments were trying to be satirical about this phenomenon. They were flipping the script, so to speak, using word for word what gets said about their woman applied deliberately to two dead men. Some were even asking her to be freed. Free her immediately. She's too young to have her life destroyed over such a silly mistake.
Silly mistake.
Free her. She's definitely telling the truth that they wronged her. I believe her and believe she did nothing
Thank you,
wrong.
Fork in
Release
Kitchen.
her or else. Free my girl. She did that shit, but I don't care. This, of course, sparked an entire other online discourse, catapulting the news to an even broader audience, turning this into a man versus woman debate. I mean,
It
some
always
of them are
ends up-
joking, of course, but she, at
It
the end
always
of the
ends up
day,
like
was
this.
practically being lauded by both sides. There was only a small percentage of the comments online that were seriously condemning her for her behavior. There was the man
Everyone is so desensitized at this point that like everything becomes a joke. Everything becomes very unserious. That's I'm someone who loves joking about, like everything. But a lot of this joke is it doesn't help the case that's like ongoing at all. It's not very, it's like all just loud noise for no reason.
saying they wanted to fix her, that they want her as their own yandere girlfriend. And on the other side, the woman who applauded her for, well, basically being a hero, as they put it. This is insane, and although some of those tweets are generally funny on their own, when taking the situation with its full context, you realize that when someone becomes a symbol for the internet and becomes co-opted by them to push different ideals and ideology, it's very easy to forget that there are real people involved behind all of this.
Yeah.
I can't help but think of the victim's family who are stuck watching strangers make memes about the person who killed their sons and are cheering for her. These discussions have definitely caused their own sets of questions and debates, and the Korean press was very keen on asking those questions out loud very quickly.
장을 미리 준비하셨습니까? 장을 혼자 준비하셨나요? 사례도 있으셨습니까?
But although Kim had this newfound internet popularity, she still had to face Korea's judicial system and police investigation. And those guys don't fuck around.
Yeah,
And
they're
when
not the
police
internet.
took a look through her ChatGPT logs, they found some very disturbing
Look at the fucking response. This is obviously not the actual logs, but you could just imagine asking like, if I combine these two substances, what will happen? And you could just imagine ChatGPT throwing these emojis in when talking about literally potentially drugging someone to death.
conversations. After her first boyfriend's coma in December, police found the following conversations on her phone. What is it like to take sleeping pills and alcohol together? Very dangerous. Combining benzodiazepines with alcohol can cause severe respiratory depression, loss of consciousness, and death. How much of a combination is dangerous? Can you die? Yes, even moderate amounts can be fatal, depending on the dosage and the individual.
Yo,
This
ChatGPT,
combination
stop.
should never be attempted. After ChatGPT told her it was a very dangerous combo and could lead to death, what did she do? She
She
doubled the
did the
amount
exact
she
thing.
used going forward. The police investigation described how she treated ChatGPT throughout all of this, like it was her personal assistant. She would ask it
That's
daily
what a lot
life
of people do.
questions, relationship questions, anything. After the first man died in a motel, however, the questions suddenly turned more dark. Suddenly, they found questions about how to handle police questioning and so on. But what's even more bizarre is that throughout all of these, she was never panicking into a search bar. All the while asking these very morbid questions, she remained perfectly calm throughout the entire conversation with ChatGPT. They noted that she was having structured back and forth conversations, following up and even refining her search. All the while, she was basically asking ChatGPT how to commit murder. And in hindsight, she should have probably asked ChatGPT how to get away with murder as well, but I guess you
Yeah, she
can't
didn't
think of
think that
everything,
through.
am I right? Now, here is the thing about her defense. She told investigators she had not planned any of this. In fact, she insisted she only targeted men who had wronged her. And how they had wronged her, you might ask? They had simply disagreed with her. Basically, she claimed that she had simply been carrying the medication with her. It was just random that she happened to have them on her the day of the murders. And she also
Oh.
argued that in each case, the man had done something to upset her. They had argued. And then she had given them the drug to make them just sleep it off. She did not know they would die. She said she just wanted them to stop being a problem. Crazy, right? But police were not just relying on the chat logs to counter this. With help from a criminal profiler from the National Police Agency's Behavioral Analysis team, they conducted a 10-hour in-depth interview with Kim and put her through a full psychopathy checklist assessment. The preliminary results indicated high psychopathic traits, a lack of empathy, superficial charm, and a manipulative behavior, though not full psychopathy. She showed no remorse throughout questioning. She also described the men she killed as annoying, as people who had wronged her in minor ways. The thing that had wronged them, as we established, was simply disagreeing with her. But there are two problems with her
Yeah.
story beyond that. First, she was carrying the drugs before the arguments even happened. And second, the phone contained a conversation where she had asked
Yeah,
an
she literally
AI whether
knew
people
what
could die from exactly what she was
what the side
doing,
effects
had
could
been
be.
told yes, and then responded by using more of it. So her defense and the evidence against her were essentially the same argument. Which brings us to what makes this case legally unprecedented, and why it matters well beyond Kim. She probably thought using ChatGPT instead of Google was her being careful or smarter. No obvious keyword trail, no incriminating search history. What she actually did, though, was write her intent out in full sentences and store it on a server. A forensic scientist professor named Jo-Do Won explained the difference to reporters. A browser search is just keywords, and keywords can be ambiguous. Someone, for example, could type sleeping pills into Google, and that person could
That
be a
is true.
nurse, it could be a writer, it could even be a worried parent. But an AI conversation is structured sentences. The reasoning is baked right into the phrasing. You cannot ask whether doubling the dosage would make the outcome more likely to be fatal and let
I guess in hindsight, I can see why she used ChatGPT, but also it's just like any other app on your phone. It's just like another messaging app basically. You could just officers or investigators can just open the app up and see your chat history.
claim you were just being curious. That is why her charges were upgraded from injury resulting in death, which carries a lighter sentence, to murder, a distinction that could be the difference between a decade in jail and the rest of her life for Kim. Defense lawyers across South
Should be rest
Korea
of their
reportedly
life.
started, after this case broke, reviewing their clients' AI chat histories as a standard first step in every intake from now on. One even told reporters anonymously, "When I take on a case now, I review my clients' ChatGPT conversations with them
That's very
first."
smart
But
because
the
so many
implications
people just there's an alarming amount of people who overly rely on ChatGPT nowadays. So I'm not surprised that this has become a real forensic technique.
go further than Kim. Kim Yeon-ju, head of South Korea's AI Safety Institute, raised a concern that is generally hard to dismiss. If investigators can access ChatGPT logs in a murder case, they can, in principle, access everything you type in ChatGPT. Every anxious 3 a.m. conversation someone had with a chatbot. Every dark hypothetical they typed and never acted on. The conversational structure that makes
Oh,
AI
wait.
records such
Okay, do people actually type in like dark hypotheticals into ChatGPT? That that is kind of that is kind of scary. Because if you were genuinely just curious about a hypothetical, as a lot of people are, then that might be able to be used against you in court, which might be bad
compelling evidence is
if you were
exactly
innocent.
what makes them a surveillance concern at scale. He called it a future human right dispute. And then there's the question nobody has legislation for yet. ChatGPT had warned her. It had told her explicitly that what she was describing could be fatal, but she used that warning to calibrate the dosage upward. So, does that fall into the open AI's problem? Ordinary products have product liability frameworks, but AI does not fit neatly into any of that, and nobody has written the law for it yet. Kim had asked a machine how to kill
That
someone. The
is,
machine said,
yeah.
"Do not." She said, "Thank you," and did more of it, and then became viral. Thank you so
What do you do about that from a legal standpoint? I'm not a lawyer, but the chatbot is doing what's designed. It's not because obviously, if she asked like, "How do I build a pipe bomb?" ChatGPT's not going to tell her how to do that. But since something like sleeping pills and alcohol can be a genuine concern for people, ChatGPT would tell the person whether or not that's something that's fatal. So I don't know how you would handle that from a legal standpoint.
much for watching this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this story and what could be future AI problems we occur when it comes to surveillance and criminality. The video was a bit different from what I usually cover, but if you enjoyed it, the easiest
I
thing
did
you can
enjoy
do
it.
is
I love
subscribe.
True.
Go
Get
on your
subscribed.
mobile phone within the first 7
Go
days of
subscribe to
release,
her.
swipe right on the video and hit the hype button. It's completely free and it genuinely pushes the video out to more
Yeah, you
people.
guys should stop watching this video and go do that on her
Also,
video.
it
Don't
helps
do it on my video.
tremendously. If
I'm
you want to go
misreacting.
a step further, we have merch, a gamer subcode, it's called Club, our own TCG card, and a Patreon
Whoa.
with exclusive content. All the links are in my description below. And if you just want to hang out for free, come join our Discord at discord.gg/Rima. We run events there and it's a good time. Until next time, Wade will
That was a very interesting case. I feel like I haven't really seen any that are like this. I love true crime stuff, so I'm probably going to do more true crime reactions in the future. But aside from that, thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, there are more videos on screen for you to watch, and I'll see you guys in the next one.